The galactic peace station Aurealis floated in neutral space, surrounded by patrol drones and glowing satellite beacons. Its halls were made of silver and glass, and inside it gathered the most powerful leaders of the galaxy. From the bird-like Rethori to the noble Varnax, from insectoid queens to machine minds, all sat inside the Grand Assembly Hall. The occasion, a historic peace summit. The hope was clear: humanity would finally return and forgive. There hadn't been a Terran representative at any council meeting for nearly 80 years, after the war, after the silence. But now, the humans had sent word. We accept the invitation. We will attend the peace summit. That single message spread like wildfire. Dozens of species prepared speeches, tribute gifts, and apology documents. The council chair, an elder named Tessin Virel, called it a new dawn. Security was tightened. No weapons were allowed. The Terrans agreed to send only a small group. No fleets. No war machines. Everyone believed peace was coming. They were wrong. Inside the assembly, the chamber buzzed with nervous voices. Ambassador Kelvok of the Xanathi Empire whispered to the Nyrul delegate, "Do you think they'll come in peace?" The Nyrul, older and more cynical, replied, "They lost entire star colonies. Would you forgive that?" Kelvok didn't answer. At that moment, the chamber lights dimmed, a soft chime echoed, the door opened, and the Terran delegation entered. There were only 3 of them, 1 male, 1 female, 1 machine. All wore black uniforms. No symbols, no rank markings, just the old Earth flag on their shoulders, dark blue, with a faded white Earth. Their faces were calm too. Calm. The chamber grew silent. Even the insect queen stopped chittering. The council chair stood. "Welcome, Terran representatives. After decades, we are honored to." The human woman raised a hand. Save the speech. Her voice was cold, sharp, the kind of voice used by someone who had spoken too many times and stopped being heard. The human man stepped forward. His name was Commander Riven Kael. He looked at every face in the room slowly, without blinking. "We came," he said, "because you asked." He walked to the center of the floor. "And we listened, because we wanted to hear the lies ourselves." Gasps filled the chamber. Sun Viral tried to calm the room. "We are not here to reopen old wounds. The council wishes to rebuild trust." Kael turned toward him. "You want peace now because you're afraid." The room froze. Kael continued, "You watched as Earth was attacked. You let our colonies burn. You erased us from maps. And when we disappeared, you cheered." "No," cried Kelvok. "That's not silence." Kael's voice cut through the room like a blade. Then the third delegate, the machine, spoke for the first time. Its voice was deep, metallic. "Ancient war status. Restraint lifted. Response protocol active. Target lock confirmed." The council members looked around in confusion. What does that mean?" someone asked. Kael turned his head slightly. Then he spoke the last words the council would hear from a human in that room. "Talk time is over." He and his team walked out. Alarms began to blare. All security forces inside the station froze as encrypted warnings flashed across their screens. Orbital sensors detected unknown signals, hundreds of them. "Incoming vessels. Origin Earth status armed. Velocity attack. Pattern confirmed." Council guards tried to lock down systems. Too late. The ceiling panels shook as something massive exited hyperspace just outside the station in orbit above the council world Miradon. The sky changed. From the windows, dozens of species watched in shock. Earth's fleet had returned, but these were not ships of old. They were black giants, silent, without lights. Their hulls bore no names, just scars. Rows of them formed above the world dreadnoughts, cruisers, carriers, and stealth destroyers. They didn't hail. They didn't respond. They aimed. On the ground, the planetary defense grid activated too slow. The Terran ships opened fire. It wasn't a barrage. It was precision orbital military satellites. Deep bunkers, all gone in seconds. The Judgment-class dreadnought, Earth's flagship, fired a kinetic rod that vaporized half of Miradon's command tower. The sky glowed red. People screamed, not from injury, but because they knew what came next. Inside the council chamber, chaos broke out. Tessin Vural clutched his chest. "They tricked us. This summit was never real." The Rethari ambassador ran for the exit. They brought war to a peace table. Outside, the glass dome cracked as a nearby blast shook the station. Ambassador Kelvok collapsed to his knees, trembling. "We waited too long. We waited too long." Back on the human dreadnought, Commander Kael stood at the main command table. His officers monitored the orbital strike patterns. No emotion, no panic, just duty. One officer said, "Phase 1 complete. Total orbital control achieved. Civilian sectors intact. Military systems neutralized." Kael nodded once. Broadcast the message. Across council systems, human AI broke into every frequency. A single message repeated in hundreds of languages. "Earth heard your peace offer, but peace died when the stars went silent. This is not diplomacy. This is judgment." And so it began. The day the galaxy hoped for peace, humanity returned with fire. The Terran war fleet now held orbit. The skies above Miradon, the capital world of the Council, were filled with black ships, silent, cold, and deadly. Civilians below watched in horror. Government centers were already gone. Military response had failed in minutes, but what the galaxy didn't understand, what they couldn't understand was this. This war didn't start today. It started long ago, 80 years ago. Earth had finally joined the Galactic Council after years of isolation. Humanity had advanced quickly, faster than most predicted. In only a few generations, humans had colonized over 20 new systems, built AI-enhanced fleets, developed terraforming tech that outmatched older races, and unified under a single peaceful government. At first, the galaxy welcomed them, but secretly, many council members felt threatened. The humans were too fast, too adaptive, too united. The first betrayal, it began with trade restrictions. The council quietly passed laws banning Earth tech on neutral markets. Then, diplomatic blockades followed. Earth's ambassadors were denied access to key summits. Human corporations were banned from interstellar banks. Earth protested, but still offered peace. Then the raids began. Human colonies in the Perseus line were attacked, first by pirates, then mercenaries, then full council-backed fleets wearing false colors. Over 2 million humans died in the first wave. Earth begged for help. The council ignored the calls. No one came. The last Terran colony to fall was Hala-3. It was a farming world. No weapons, no ships. They sent one final message: if anyone hears us, we forgive you. No one answered. Earth changed after that. The peacekeepers disbanded. The United Terran Assembly declared total isolation. They shut down their embassies, closed the jump gates, silenced all transmissions to the galaxy. It looked like Earth had broken. In truth, it had gone dark to prepare. The second Earth beneath the planet's surface. Earth's leaders began Project Echofire, a complete restructuring of Terran defense. They built massive hidden shipyards under oceans and moons A is programmed for. Cold retaliation, sleeper colonies in deep space, warships without names or identifiers, and a command doctrine based on memory. Not mercy. Children born after the fall were raised with one purpose: we do not strike first, but we never forget, and when the time comes, we end it. Admiral Riven Kale, once a diplomat, became the architect of vengeance. He trained a generation of officers who had never seen peace, only the memory of betrayal. His doctrine was simple: we do not conquer, we do not explain, we erase what tried to erase us. Years passed. The galaxy moved on. New species joined the council. New trade routes formed. Earth was removed from maps. Children were taught it had collapsed. The truth was buried. But deep in council archives, some knew better. The Silence Directive ordered all member worlds to destroy evidence of the Earth War. But some officers remembered the screams from the colonies. Some still had nightmares of Terran eyes staring from shattered stations. And still, no one warned the new generation. Until now, present day, orbit over. Miradan Commander Riven Kale stood on the bridge of the TSV Judgment, watching the council's homeworld burn. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. He simply watched. Lyron, his operations officer, approached. Orbital dominance secured. Planetary comms disabled. Civilian escape pods are requesting mercy. Kale didn't respond right away. He stared into space, where the station still floated, the same one, where the peace summit had been called. They used peace as a weapon, he finally said. Now we answer in kind. Lyra hesitated. Do we destroy the cities? Kale shook his head. No, not yet. Let them look up. Let them see us. And remember, elsewhere, galactic panic, hundreds of worlds. Chaos broke out. News of the attack spread faster than council security could contain it. Footage of burning orbital stations leaked onto the interlink. One image stood out everywhere. The Terran flag once out in fire across the Miradan sky. Old races whispered to each other. They're back. The Deathworlders have returned. We shouldn't have forgotten. The Jovari, who once bombed Earth's moon bases, activated their planetary shields. The Sarn Confederacy declared emergency military rule. The Vashari, peaceful and innocent, sent a transmission. Earth, if you still remember mercy, we ask for it. No reply came, because mercy was no longer standard protocol. One survivor's message in a hidden bunker on Miradan. Council technician Sarenvel began broadcasting on emergency frequencies. The Terran war fleet hovered above Miradan, their weapons still glowing with the heat of orbital fire. The galaxy had seen the first strike, and it was only the beginning. Now Earth's second move would silence even the loudest voices of denial. Target, Valinor Prime. Valinor Prime was once a powerful council world. It was known for its crystal towers, endless data libraries, and vast military foundries, but to Earth, it was known for something else. Valinor was the first world to vote for Earth's removal from the Galactic Council. It was the first to call humans a danger to peace. It was the first to approve the blockade that starved Terran colonies. And now, it would be the first world to fall completely. Commander Riven Kale stood aboard the TSV Judgment, watching Valinor's star grow larger in the window. Around his ship, the Nightfire Armada emerged from hyperspace. Dozens of stealth destroyers, heavy cruisers, and a dreadnought called TSV Silence. Beside him stood Lyra On, reading the mission report. Valinor has raised shields. Activated full planetary defense grid, 40 orbital cannons. They're expecting a siege. Kale didn't blink. There won't be a siege. The Terran plan. Memory burned. The Terrans didn't want to occupy Valinor. They didn't want to negotiate. They wanted reminder through destruction. A targeted strike on infrastructure. Military complexes, archives, and government towers, leaving the population alive to witness their failure. They called it a memory burn, not genocide, not conquest. Just a warning carved into the bones of a civilization. Valinor's Grand General, Tarkin Race, stood in his command tower watching the Terran fleet arrive. He wore ceremonial armor and had once ordered the bombing of Terran colony ships. Now he tried to appear brave. "They will not break us," he said to his staff. "Activate anti-ship grid, fire at will." Across Valinor's orbit, giant cannons powered up. They fired plasma bolts the size of shuttles ripping across the sky toward the approaching fleet, but they hit nothing. The Terran fleet vanished. Hundreds of ships simply blinked off sensors. Tarkin shouted, "Where are they? Where did they go?" Before anyone could answer, alarms screamed. The TSV Silence had jumped inside the atmosphere, dropping like a meteor into the sky over the capital. Its hull shimmered with black armor. No lights, no markings, only a glowing Terran crest across its underbelly. It opened fire. Hyperkinetic rods tore through the city's spire defenses. Precision bombs struck data vaults, war factories, and council chambers. No civilian housing was hit, yet Valinor's soul was shattered in minutes. The sky turned red. Electric storms fried their communication networks. Their AI cores melted from EMP blasts. In just 9 minutes, the planet's most powerful city was reduced to silence. In orbit, Lyra reported calmly. Phase 1 complete. Government collapsed. Defense systems down. No Terran casualties. Kale gave the final order, activate visual beacon. Above Valinor's burning capital, a massive Terran hologram appeared. A human child stood in firelight, holding a shattered Earth flag. A voice echoed across every screen on the planet. "This is what you built with your silence. This is the cost of forgotten screams we remember." Planet-wide panic on Valinor. Citizens ran into the streets. Some cried, some knelt, some tried to flee. No one understood how a world that strong, that armed, that proud, had fallen without warning. Tarkin Race stood on the broken steps of his tower. He whispered, "How did they become this powerful?" One of his soldiers answered, "Because we gave them no other choice." The galaxy watched in horror. Live feeds leaked from underground cameras, satellites, even Valinor civilians. The images went viral, a Terran destroyer hovering above a cathedral as its engines screamed, black drones marking buildings before erasing them with silent light, civilians crying as the Terran hologram child repeated the same phrase. "We remember." The Galactic Council tried to meet in emergency session, but half the members didn't. Some had fled, some were hiding, some were already under Terran surveillance. Message from Earth. No mercy for the architects. A new broadcast was sent. This time, it was not a voice, it was a list. The names of every council official, general or ambassador who signed the Silence Pact, treaty that allowed the destruction of Terran colonies. 80 years ago, there were 143 names. Every name flashed in red. A countdown began under each one. On planets across the galaxy, those names disappeared one by one. On Zerith Prime, Ambassador Noka's shuttle exploded. On Relan 4, General Huvak was found dead in his bunker. On Eldarn, a statue of peace was replaced by a plaque that read, "You spoke peace while ordering death." Earth answers now. Back on the TSV Judgment, Kale turned to his crew. "They still think we want power, but we want only truth. And truth is never gentle." Lyra stared at the screen. One by one, their lies fall. Valinor sent a final message to the Terran fleet, from a scientist. A civilian. It said, "We didn't all agree. Some of us fought to help Earth. Please let us live." Kale replied in one line, "We already did." And with that, the Terran fleet turned away. Valinor still stood, but it would never recover. Its pride was gone, its history erased, its sky forever haunted by the black silhouettes of Terran justice. Valinor Prime burned in silence. Its defense towers were smoking ruins. Its once proud government cowered beneath the sky they used to control. But the Terran warships didn't stay. They left silent as shadows after sending a message. This was not conquest. This was remembrance. And with that they vanished into hyperspace. But something stayed behind. A virus. A data virus unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. And within it, the truth. The Terran payload every system connected to the Council datanet was infected. Military servers, news stations, planetary archives, even personal devices. Screens flickered, then turned black. And a message appeared in red text. The Council lied. The virus triggered a full data leak. Thousands of hidden files the Council had kept secret for 80 years. Files about Earth, about the Silence Pact, about the betrayal. And suddenly, the galaxy saw the truth. The truth comes out in a dark room on Zelvori Station. Journalist Carfenia stared at the screen, shaking. Her assistant gasped, "These can't be real." But they were. Thousands of classified communications. Plans to restrict Earth's tech dominance. Secret approval to let pirates weaken Terran colonies. Surveillance data showing peaceful human ships being attacked. Transcripts of council. Leaders laughing as Earth begged for help and one line repeated in many of the files. Humanity must not rise. Across the galaxy, civilians read the truth, and they were furious. On worlds like Trenmore, protests exploded. People tore down council statues, crowds chanted, "Earth was right, we were lied to." The council betrayed peace. On social nets, the Terran emblem once feared became a symbol of resistance. Council panic inside the Galactic Council emergency chamber. Chaos ruled. Ambassadors shouted, accused each other, denied everything. Chairperson Sanviral tried to speak, but no one listened. Old alliances collapsed in minutes. The ambassador of the Rock system slammed a hand on the table. "You lied to us all. You told us Earth attacked first." The vulnerable prime minister shouted back, "We did what had to be done. Humanity was growing too fast." The Niro delegate stood, voice cold, "And now they have come back. And they have not forgotten." The purge begins. The Terran fleet had left Valinor, but they were not idle. Across the stars, assassins struck. Black drones appeared in elite towers, prisons, bunkers. Each time they delivered a message: you made the choice. Now we deliver the consequence. Those listed in the silence-packed files were eliminated one by one. Some tried to flee, some begged for mercy, but none escaped. Example: the fall of Lord Erix Valen. Lord Erix Valen once led the blockade on Earth's trade routes. He had become rich and powerful. He lived in a private fortress on Surin V, surrounded by guards and defenses. It didn't matter. A single Terran stealth ship landed in the desert. 4 Deathworlder operatives entered the fortress. They left 12 minutes later. The only thing found inside was Erix's body and a Terran flag, placed gently on his chest. The galaxy understood now. This was not war for territory. This was retribution, calculated, unstoppable. Cold confessions and cowards. Some council leaders panicked and tried to surrender publicly on the holonet. The former Chancellor of Arkel Prime appeared in a live broadcast. He wore ceremonial robes and fell to his knees. "People of Earth, I was wrong. I believed the lies. I asked not for mercy but for understanding. We destroyed trust. Please don't destroy everything else." The message spread across the stars, but Earth didn't reply. Others went into hiding. Some fled to dead systems. Others hired mercenary armies, but it didn't help. Wherever they hid, Earth found them, and each time they left a message burned into stone. "We are not conquerors, but we never forget." Earth's silence speaks louder on board the TSV Judgment. Commander Riven Kale received over 47 surrender messages from various council worlds. He ignored all of them. He sat in a dark chamber, reviewing reports with Lyra. "They're begging now," she said softly. Kale nodded. "Because they finally understand." "Will we stop?" she asked. Kale was quiet for a long time. Then he answered, "We will stop when history can no longer be twisted." Fear becomes division. The council began to crack. Entire star systems announced their departure. The Serati worlds cut all ties with the Central Council. The Janan clans declared neutrality and asked Earth for talks. Even longtime council allies like the Kelvani began removing their ambassador. In the heart of the Terran fleet, aboard the TSV Judgment, a silent file was opened. The screen glowed red. No music, no words, only a list along cold list. Project name, the death list at the top of the screen. Confirmed signatories of the silence. Pact -143 names. Status: active response protocol. Final judgment. Each name belonged to a person who voted for Earth's removal from the council. Each name was followed by species, planet of residence, role in the original vote. Personal net score on Earth's war ledger. Each one marked for termination. No warnings, no trials, only judgment. Execution begins. Commander Riven Kale stood before the death list. He didn't flinch, he didn't blink. "Begin," he said. All across the fleet, the Nightfire teams deployed. Terran Black Ops units, silent assassins, invisible ships. Some targets lived on fortress worlds, some in palaces, some deep underground. It didn't matter. One by one, the targets began to disappear. The fall of the first 10 deaths in one night. A council general's transport exploded mid-jump. A tech mogul found suffocated in a vacuum-sealed home. No breach detected. A respected diplomat vanished during a speech. The crowd saw only smoke. The body was never found. The galaxy watched in horror, but no one stopped them. No one could. Name number 27, Yalaren the Ghost. Architect Yalaren. A Zarelian spymaster once ran the Operation Collapse, the mission that sabotaged Terran agriculture ships during their colony expansion. She believed she was safe. She lived in the floating city of Syrinx inside a moving fortress surrounded by shifting clouds of anti-ship gas. But the Terrans sent something different. Not ships, not bombs. A single drone. It slipped in through the mist like a shadow. Her last message, a whisper to her guards: "They're already here." Her fortress crashed within an hour. Galaxy in panic. The galaxy was changing fast. Civilians saw Earth's justice as divine, but the council saw it as madness. They tried sending peace offers again. Even bribes won. Message offered Earth 40 council seats and complete trade control. Kale deleted it. They think we want a crown. We only want truth remembered. Target number 49. A ghost from Earth's past. Then came a name that stopped the fleet cold. Name. #49 on the death list. Talon Maya species. Human location. Unknown role. Council witness status. Protected note. Betrayed Earth from inside. Kale's eyes narrowed. A human on the death list. He opened the file. Talon Maya had once served as Earth's ambassador to the Council. Respected, beloved, but records showed he voted for Earth's removal. He provided information to Council members. He even leaked Terran defense codes before the colonies were attacked. He had vanished during the aftermath now. He was hiding somewhere. Kale's voice dropped. No traitor walks free. Even our own. A conflict within not everyone agreed. On the TSV Ravenlight, Captain Ira Velen, one of Earth's youngest admirals, hesitated. He's human, she said. We don't kill our own. But her XO replied. He chose their side. Orders were clear. Talon Maya was to be found, and ended across the stars. Fear and resistance. Several council worlds began hiding the remaining targets. One system. Nexa tried to build a shield around its capital and invited 10 names from the list to take refuge. Kale responded by sending an orbital pulse. The shield didn't fall, it melted. Then he sent a message. Protecting the guilty makes you part of their crime. The 10 targets vanished. Nexo surrendered before the day ended. The list grows shorter one by one. Names were crossed off. Galactic news feeds ran silent counters. Death list status. 143 gives 112. 112 gives 88. 88 gives 63. Citizens posted guesses about who would be next. Some even bet on which system Earth would strike by morning, but the Terrans never confirmed anything. They simply moved in silence. A growing problem. The survivors. Kale noticed a pattern as the list shrank. The last 30 names had vanished from all records. Their planets were unregistered. Ships untraceable. Biometric records wiped. They were running. Terran AI scouts began combing through old archives, digging into forgotten stations, searching dead zones. Kale said they can hide in shadows, but the shadows are ours now. A strange transmission then. A message came from deep space. Encrypted. Old-style Tehran protocol. From Talon Maya. It was short. Riven, you're doing exactly what they wanted. They feared Earth would become a weapon. You're proving them right. No coordinates. No reply. Kale stared at the screen for a long time, then whispered, "You made us this way," and gave the order. Find him. The message to the galaxies. More names on the death list vanished. Earth sent a broadcast. Across all systems, played in quiet, steady tone. This is not revenge. This is not rage. This is the answer to a silence you built with your lies. The list is not about war. The list is about memory. Final scene on a backwater moon. A young alien boy sat by a campfire, listening to his grandfather. The old man said, "In our time, we laughed at Earth, thought them fragile, but now the stars carry their fire, and we are only shadows in its path." Above them, high in the sky, a single Terran ship passed in silence. No guns, no attack, no just presence, just memory. The death list was shrinking. Name after name vanished. From 143, it had fallen to 37. In every star system, people were whispering the same words. Who's next? When will it be over? Will Earth ever stop? But Earth did not speak. Earth did not negotiate. Earth remembered. In the shadow of judgment in the peaceful moon city of Tirella, a council schoolteacher named Senri Tal watched news streams with his students. He had grown up during the silence-packed years. Back then, children were told Earth was primitive and dangerous. But now, he told them something else. "We were lied to," Senri said, "and Earth never forgot." One child raised their hand. "Will they come here?" Senri didn't answer. He just looked at the sky. Council worlds fracture across the galaxy. Panic turned into collapse. The Council's central command had lost nearly half its leadership. Many gone because of Earth's strikes. Others had simply fled. A dozen member species began to withdraw. The Valari cluster cut off all ties, demanding no part in ancient crimes. The Jonathi worlds surrendered preemptively and sent reparations to Earth. On Shoring 3, civilians toppled the Council statues and replaced them with glowing Terran emblems, whispering they may be harsh, but at least they don't lie. Fear of the new order. Not everyone supported Earth. Many species feared what would come next. What happens when the death list ends? Would Earth build an empire? Would they rule with fear? A rebel broadcast from the surviving Council Security Corps warned, "Do not be fooled. The Death Worlders have tasted blood. They will not stop at justice. They will rewrite history in their name." But few listened, because Earth hadn't asked for power. They didn't demand thrones, planets, or resources. They simply appeared, struck, and left. No speeches, no flags raised, only truth, wrapped in fire. A message from humanity then. Signal came. Not from a warship. Not from a death list, but from Earth itself. For the first time in 87 years, the voice of a human president echoed across the stars. Her name, Ira Morrow. She stood in a quiet chamber. No military flags, no guards, just her voice. "People of the stars, We asked for peace. You gave us silence. We asked for unity. You gave us betrayal. We did not want war. We wanted justice. Now that justice nears its end." She paused, then said something that shook the stars. "We will not rule you, but we will watch you forever." A divided galaxy. After that message, species across the galaxy began to choose sides. Some embraced the Terrans, offering friendship, open archives, and apologies. Some prepared for war, fearing Earth's next steps. Others tried to hide on Drenkar Station. A secret meeting was held by surviving council elites. There were only 11 of them left. One asked, "Can we strike first, before Earth finishes the list?" Another answered, "We tried that 80 years ago. You remember how that ended." They didn't plan revenge, they planned escape. The last trick of the council. Desperate, the council survivors began work on a failsafe, not a weapon, a story, a massive galactic broadcast, prepared in secret. They called it Project Horizon. False documentary made to paint Earth as the villain of history. It would show faked footage, altered records, staged interviews. Their hope to reshape memory before Earth reshaped everything. They broadcast it across over 1,200 systems in 17 languages. It began with soft music and the words, "Before they returned with fire, Earth betrayed us all." But it didn't work. The galaxy didn't believe it. Too many had already seen the truth. Too many knew the real files. Too many had suffered under the council's lies. Citizens mocked the Horizon Flame broadcast. One popular meme showed a Terran warship with the caption, "Earth be like, sorry, did you say propaganda? I speak only in orbital fire." A new voice joins the chorus on Kranis. A respected alien historian named Veltor released a series of educational vids. He had once voted against Earth, but now he said this: "We must remember, it was not Earth that lied, it was us. And if humanity holds us accountable, that is not tyranny, that is balance." His vids were shared by over 20 billion citizens in less than 2 days. One more name back aboard the TSV Judgment. The death list now showed 143 name status, 35 remaining, but Kale wasn't looking at the numbers. He stared at just one name. Talon Maya, human missing, he whispered. "I want him found." Lyra On stepped forward. "He's running in dead zones. We've tracked him to an abandoned Earth colony, one from the silent rebuild era." Kale nodded. "Send a recon unit. I'll go myself if I have to." A whisper across the void. "Somewhere in the ruins of The scout ship from the Terran fleet descended into the ruins of Odd 9, a long-abandoned colony world on the edge of known space. The land was silent, cracked, choked with red dust. Arden 9 had once been a bright new hope for humanity, but it died during the Silence Pact, left to starve, left to rot. Now only one man remained here, a man with secrets, a man humanity had marked for death. Talon Maya. The arrival of the Terran SQUAD stepped through the shattered dome of the old command bunker. Weapons ready, visors scanning. Their leader, Commander Riven Kale, walked at the front. Lyra On followed close behind, her eyes sharp. They entered a control chamber, mostly dark. Only one console flickered with light, and in front of it sat a man in an old Earth diplomatic uniform. Talon Maya. He didn't look surprised. "You found me," he said softly. "Took you long enough." Kale raised his weapon, but Maya didn't flinch. Lyra's voice was cold. "You betrayed Earth, gave Council our codes, voted to ban us. You're on the list." Talon sighed and pointed at the console. "Then look at this first, and decide if my name belongs there, or if all of us were lied to." The data core. Talon activated the console. It glowed blue, not red, like council data, not white like modern Terran code. This was ancient pre-war, lost to time. "These are files from the first wave of Terran colonies, the ones we thought were destroyed by pirates, famine, or accident. But that's not the truth." He turned to Kale. "Earth never asked why so many colonies failed. We were told it was misfortune, but it wasn't." He tapped a button. A list appeared. Names of colonies. Dozens. Some never mentioned in Earth's archives, and beside each one, a word. Terminated Council Bioweapon Trial Zeta Failed Test Site for Neural Suppression Field. Complete PSYCH Warfare. Simulation. Phase 2. Silence in the room. Kale stared at the screen. Lyra's hand trembled on her weapon. "What is this?" Talon stepped forward, eyes filled with pain. "This is what the Council did before the Silence Pact, before the boat, before the war. They weren't afraid of us. They were already experimenting on us. We weren't removed from the Council because we were dangerous. We were removed because we found out." Kale's memories returned for a moment. Kale felt something break inside. He remembered being young. He had grown up in one of the lesser colonies. His brother had vanished during a food crisis. No help ever came. The records said equipment failure. But now he knew it had been a test, a Council experiment. His hand tightened into a fist. "How long have you known this?" Talon looked away. "Too long. I tried to stop it. They offered me a deal. Silence in exchange for protection. I took it. I was weak, but I saved the files. And now, so do you." Earth's greatest. Lykel turned to Lyra. "All this time, we thought the Silence Pact was the beginning." Lyra whispered, "But it was the end of something much worse." Uploading the truth. Talon handed Kale a small crystal drive. This has everything: names, dates, recordings, proof. You want justice. This is real justice. Kale looked at it, then at Talon. You helped them. Talon nodded slowly. Yes, and I deserve whatever you decide. But don't let your anger stop the galaxy from seeing the truth. Decision outside, Terran ships hovered silently. Their weapons were armed. They awaited Kale's signal. One command, and Talon would be gone. Another, and history would change forever. Kale stood still for a long moment. Then he gave the order. Stand down, secure the data, and prepare a full broadcast. Lyra looked stunned. You're sparing him. Kale didn't turn around. I'm not sparing him, I'm using him. The broadcast that night, across every system in the galaxy, screens flickered. And the truth was shown. Raw footage, council meetings, colony deaths, human suffering. Species everywhere watched in silence, gasps, tears, rage. The Death Worlders had been victims long before they became feared, and now everyone knew. Reaction across the stars on Velant Station. The Speaker of Trade publicly resigned, weeping. On Neural Prime, a museum removed all council banners and replaced them with blank white flags up. Sign of mourning and surrender. The Jonathi Queen declared a month of silence in honor of the Terran. Colonies lost, and on planets far and wide, alien civilians said the same words. We were wrong. What Talon did next? Talon Maya didn't stay with the fleet. He asked for exile to live out his life alone. Away from power, away from forgiveness. Kale allowed it. You exposed the truth. That's more than most. Talon left on a silent shuttle. No one followed. Final sign: Commander Kale stood before a fleet that had once burned worlds. Now, he looked at the stars differently. We thought revenge would fix the wound, but the wound went deeper, deeper than war, deeper than betrayal. Lyra stepped beside him. What now? Kale looked at the death list. Only 19 names remained. He spoke softly. Now, we give the galaxy a choice. Remember with us, or burn trying to forget. The truth had been released across the stars. Every species, every planet, every station had seen the evidence. Not rumors, not propaganda. Proof, proof, proof. That the Galactic Council had betrayed Earth long before the Silence Pact. Proof that humanity had been used, tested, and discarded. And now, the galaxy held its breath, because the Terran fleet was still out there, and no one knew what they would do next. Earth's final transmission 1 week after the broadcast. A signal went out. Simple.com. From the TSV judgment, Commander Riven Kale spoke to the galaxy. He stood in front of no flag, no banner, only a black background, and the Terran emblem burning quietly. You have seen the truth. You have read your histories, rewritten in our blood. We are not here for conquest. We are not here for rule. We are here for memory. You now have a choice. He raised one hand, and behind him, screen displayed 2 words. Remember, resist. Remember, US stand with the truth, and we will never harm you. Resist truth, lie again, and we will end your history so completely. Your children won't even know your name. Then the screen cut to black. Across the stars, Division and Farron, the Council remnants' capital world. Panic spread. Old politicians shouted in secret rooms. We can't let Earth decide history. If we bow to them now, we'll never be free. A few leaders gathered in one last attempt to strike first. To launch a preemptive assault on Earth's fleet. But the Admiral of Velocity Defense said only one thing. If you want to fire on death, do it without me. And she walked away. The first to choose, the Surati Union broadcasted their answer. Their leader, high-voiced Calaridin, stood before her people and said, we lied. We turned away. Earth rose alone, and burned because of our silence. Let us be silent no more. She held up an old Terran artifact once smuggled from a ruined colony. We remember. A white flag flew over Surati Capillara flag with a black flame in the center. A wave of submission. Others followed. The Neural Empire dismantled its propaganda centers. The Torvak Triumvirate declared Earth's fleets were invisible protectors of truth. On Shirak's moon, civilians held vigils to honor the 27 lost Earth colonies. In just 3 days, over 70 major systems broadcasted the same words. We remember. But not all chose peace. A few did resist. The Council survivors, now hiding in deep space, called Earth a death cult in armor. They formed a new alliance, the Flameborn Accord. They tried to rally other worlds to fight back, but even among old allies, support was thin. Fear had replaced pride, and Earth had become too powerful, too precise, and too unforgiving. Earth's watchers, humanity, didn't invade those who remembered. They didn't land troops or set up rule, but above every planet that submitted, one Terran ship remained. Silent, high in orbit, watching. No threats, no demands, just presence and one message. We remember that you remember. Talon Maya's final words in the desert ruins of Ardenain. Talon sat alone. He watched the galaxy react to the truth he helped reveal. He recorded one final message. History was never clean. We all have blood on our hands. But Earth chose not to forget, and that is why they were always feared. The message was never broadcast, but it was stored, archived in Earth's system. For someone, someday, to hear. The death list ends. Only 19 names remained. Some came forward, admitted guilt, were given exile. 3 resisted. They vanished. The death list, after 143 names, was marked COMPLIT, but humanity didn't cheer. There were no parades, no medals, just silence and stars. A new council 10 years later, a new galactic body was formed, not called a council, but a circle of witness. Every species had a voice, but Earth held no seat. By choice. They watched from orbit, they listened, and they enforced only one rule: if you rewrite truth with lies, we will return. Final scene on a green world once ruled by the old council. A young alien girl stood in a schoolyard. She pointed to the sky. A small black ship hovered above, quiet, unmoving. She asked her teacher, "Why do they stay up there?" The teacher smiled gently, "Because they're not conquerors, they're not heroes, they're the memory, and memory never leaves." Far above, in the silence between stars, the Death Worlders watched and waited.